Hi everybody, the topic of this video is how to stop thoughts from consuming your life and bringing negativity or blame or other aspects into a caregiving situation, regardless of whether you are the caregiver or the care receiver. So let's look at two situations from both sides to help this make sense. Let's say that a care receiver, elderly parent, somebody in your family, is blaming other people for their life situations. Maybe it's adult children who won't help. Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's some negative event that occurred in their life yesterday or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. This happened and I can't take care of my health. Or, I used to have a job and now I don't, and all these people did these bad things to me, and as a result, this is why my life ended up the way it did. And so I just, I'm choosing to be negative. Other people need to solve my problems. I expect my kids to do this, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then let's look at the caregivers. The caregivers who want to be helpful and offer help many times get themselves in situations that are way over their head. They never thought a parent would live this long. They thought, I'll only be a caregiver for 6 months, and now it's 6 years later. So these caregivers can blame other people for their situations. Blame a parent who needs care. Blame siblings who won't show up to help. And the complicating factor is many caregivers believe that they have to be that caregiver, that nobody else can do it, that if I don't do this, horrible things will happen. Well, a lot of these situations are really up here. They're called our belief system and our bias and cognitive bias. And so if you're experiencing any of these concerns where your mind and your thoughts are making you feel stressed out and helpless, stay with me because I'm going to offer background on how these situations happen and really talk about the fact that we can choose the way we think, even though the people that we spend the most time with, if you're the caregiver or the care receiver and you're spending a lot of time together, and one of you is negative or worrisome, how that can cause you to take on more of those emotions and feelings and behaviors. If this is your first time on my channel, I'm Pamela D Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert with 25 years of experience helping aging adults and their caregivers work through the health, financial, legal aspects of caregiving, including family relationships. Please do like this video, follow my channel, comment, even if it's only to say thank you. If you have a question for a future video, please share it below. Your likes, follows, and shares help these videos reach people all around the world. So let's first talk about the results of negativity and worry and feeling hopelessness. If you're in this situation, you probably know some of these. It's more anxiety, more depression, more stress. You're having difficulty making decisions because you're doubting your decision-making ability. You feel like you don't have any control over your situation. You have asked for help and it never showed up. You've got relationship problems. You can't even talk to the person that you care for. Your family members don't understand. Everybody else tells you should stick it out and keep being the caregiver. And so all of this makes you doubt yourself. You have low self-esteem. You're like, I'll never be able to do that, or this is never going to work out, or oh my gosh, what's the next horrible thing that's going to happen? So now I want to talk about signs that can relate to these thinking patterns, right? Because again, it's all up here. And they're called cognitive distortions, which means that we, through our thinking, distort situations that are not as bad as we possibly think. And that starts with like these irrational thought patterns. We're not rational. We're not fact-based. We're all living in emotions. And so many people, and this can be caregivers and care receivers, so really anybody that you spend time with in a caregiving situation or even out of a caregiving situation, at work, your social friends, anywhere. Do you have all or nothing thinking? Is it black? Is it white? There's no compromise. This person's bad. This person's good. There's no middle ground. If you have all or nothing thinking, this can cause you way more stress and anxiety. The other thing is something that I've talked about before, and it's called catastrophizing. It's when a negative event happens and you just make the consequences 10 times worse. It's kind of like the statement of building a mountain out of a molehill. The situation is here, but you raise it like up to over your head and just crazy, and it's dramatic and it's emotional, and you got to get everybody's attention. Not good. Then there are situations where there really are a lot of positives in a person's life, but they only focus on the negatives. And this could be the person that you care for. It could be you as the caregiver. So let's say that, one thing happens today, but it's like, you know what? You have a great house that you live in. You have a good family. You got food in the fridge. Yeah, you got some health problems, but you know what? There are probably other people who have it worse. So to counter this, it's the idea of gratitude and being grateful for the small things that you have, like, gosh, I woke up today and you know what? I feel pretty good. Or I woke up today and the sun is shining. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful day it is. Then let's go to emotional reasoning, which is a significant factor in caregiving because caregiving is so emotional. You're worried about the person who needs care. The care receiver is worried about their health, and what if this happens and what if that happens? Well, we have to realize that we have great power over what we think up here. We have great power over our minds if we would only realize that. And we can choose to say, you know what? I don't feel good today, but I am going to choose to have a good day. I'm going to choose to feel good. I'm going to do things that make me feel good. And so that kind of takes away the emotional part of the thinking, right? To say, you know what? This is what I'm going to do about it. These are the facts. This is what I'm doing. Set aside those emotions and base your decisions and your actions more on logical steps versus emotion. Then sometimes, and this happens because of the people that we spend time with, right? So if you're a caregiver and you only spend time with the care receiver, or if you are the elderly person receiving care and the only person that you see is your caregiver, and that person is negative and they're angry and they complain all the time, you're going to kind of get pulled into that swamp of negativity. And that is going to take you away from being positive. And so sometimes even, if we're with a lot of people, there's a lot of messages coming at us. If you watch TV, oh my gosh, all the messages that are coming at you, right? So we have to learn to filter. So what's called filter. So let's say that some information comes to me and it's negative. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to choose to believe that. What's the other side of the story? What are the facts? Just because another person believes something doesn't mean that we have to believe the same thing. Or if they're basing decisions on emotions versus facts, that doesn't mean that we have to do the same thing. So we have a choice to say, okay, this is coming at me, but you know what? I'm going to put up a little wall here because I'm deciding that I am not going to accept that from this person. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to apply facts to it. I'm not going to make any assumptions without looking into this. I'm going to stop jumping to conclusions just because this person wants to influence me. And then in caregiving, there's a lot of what I call taking on other people's problems or personalizing things, right? So your elderly parent is sick. Well, you as the caregiver, you didn't create that situation. Sometimes people get sick for crazy reasons and there's no logical cause, right? Other times it is their health patterns in life. Did they eat well? Did they smoke? Did they consume substances? Did they exercise? Did they take care of themselves? Did they go to the doctor? I mean, a lot of those factors affects health. And so for you as the caregiver, you aren't the sick person, right? You didn't do things that caused their problems. And so caregivers can feel terribly responsible for the care of another person, which you can feel responsible for your actions, but you can't take responsibility for what they did to arrive at the situation they arrived at, or the health problems that they have, or the choices that they are deciding to make or not make. And so how does all of this crazy stuff happen in caregiving situations? Well, if you're in a family, right, there are learned patterns from parents that begin when we are 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 and 20, right? Learned patterns. So if your parent was negative, you may be inclined to be negative. If your parent worried all the time, you may be a worrier, unless somewhere along the way when you're growing up or in your career or in your life, you're like, whew, oh my gosh, that is a behavior of my parent that I am not going to take on, right? But sometimes it doesn't happen. Children don't realize that they have all these aspects of their parents until they get older, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just like my parent. Then there is stress from caregiving situations in the workplace and trying to work and care for parents and hold down a career, and you got kids to take care of and all that kind of stuff. Stress can result in distorted thinking. It can result in catastrophizing and focusing on the negative and, taking on other people's beliefs and all of that kind of stuff. It just makes us feel stressful. If we can recognize this and say, oh my gosh, I'm having a bad day, or oh my gosh, I'm taking on mom's stress or dad's stress or my sister's stress or the stress of all these people in the workplace. I don't want to do this. We have to be the ones to break that pattern and to say, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'm having a bad day. I'm going to readjust my thinking. Things are going to get better. I'm going to be more positive. And then there's what I call bias. Bias is the way that we and other people interpret information. And so people on the outside of caregiving situations can say to a caregiver, oh, well, of course you should take care of your parent. Of course you should do this. Of course you should do that. Well, they have those beliefs because probably they're not doing it and they're not in your shoes. What is caregiving? How is caregiving affecting your life? Is it affecting your health, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your career, your marriage, your children? So we have to realize that other people bring bias into their relationships with us. And again, we have to say, nope, I'm putting up a boundary. I'm not going to take that on. I'm happy that you think that way, and you are so entitled to your thoughts. But I'm thinking this way. I'm choosing to think differently. I'm choosing to think positive. I'm not going to catastrophize. I am not going to go to worst case scenarios. I'm going to think positively. I'm going to recognize when I'm going in a direction that I don't want to go to, in a direction that doesn't make me feel good, and I'm going to choose over here. I'm going to choose to feel good. So regardless of whether you are a care receiver or a caregiver, it's up to you who you want to be every day. You get to choose the minute you wake up. You get to choose the minute you go to bed and say, you know what, tomorrow's going to be a good day. You get to choose who you want to spend time with and who you want to limit time with. Limit time with people who don't make you feel good. Limit time with the receipt of information that upsets you and really isn't relevant to your life. Things that you can't change, that are somebody else's problems, right? Know what you can affect in your life. And that's you. And it's the way you think. And it's the things that you do. There are so many influences and information out there, out in the world, in television, in the workplace, in other countries. I mean, so many things that are not good, that can affect us, that we can't change. We can only change ourselves and the people we spend time with and the way that we think about things. So it's up to you as a caregiver or a care receiver or really anybody else to make a conscious mental effort to decide where you spend your time, who you spend your time with, and what your mind up here focuses on. Do things that make you happy. Do things that make you feel positive. Spend time with people who make you feel positive and who uplift you instead of drag you down. Choose wisely every single day and be conscious of the choices that you're making, because the choices that you're making turn into your everyday situations. I'll thank you all so much for being here. I'm Pamela D Wilson, a caregiving expert advocate. Visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com, for a lot of helpful information, free online programs, my podcast. You can schedule a one-on-one consultation with me, learn about other services that I offer. I will see you all again soon in another video.